When I got married, I didn't realize I have no longer the luxury to be an independent. I have to do the greatest good for us. Who are we as a couple? And you say, I need and want A, B, C, D. It takes out the wondering process of this person is giving me something that I don't need and want. They're resentful because I'm unappreciative. I'm unappreciative because you're giving me not what I want, what you think I want. So those uncomfortable conversations, these are the actions that are creating the marriage, and that's taking responsibility for it.
Welcome, Elena Cardone. I'm so happy you're here.
I love your home.
Thank you so much.
Is so beautiful.
Thank you. We just started. We moved it from this very official environment to more of a home environment.
I love it.
So I can connect, a little bit deeper. And speaking of connecting, I specifically want to share a story with you. I've seen you on social media when we moved to Miami. I would say 3 years ago, we moved to Miami, and I started, local people started popping up, and you kind of learn about the community. And that's when I learned about you and Grant and the work that you guys do. And I've been admiring the way you've been speaking and showing up, but I didn't really I wanted to know more about you. So when I saw that you wrote a book, I got the book and I read the book. And that's when I was like, I knew there was something that drew me to you. I mean, your energy is very strong as it is, but I knew that something drew me to you for a reason. And one of the reasons was the way you just bring a different perspective, a much needed perspective about womanhood, motherhood, relationship, marriage, not something that is out there these days, which is crazy to think about. We have a lot of conversations, we have a lot of movies, we have a lot of everything talking about, reaching to a point where you get your dream guy, you get married, and it ends there. And when I read your book, I was like, this is the book that tells you about the after.
Wow.
Right. Did you think about it when you wrote that?
I didn't think about the after.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was definitely a behind the scenes from, the perspective that I have that I think a lot of other women have and men.
I don't have I have a really strong group of girlfriends that we're able to dive into conversations and share our own kind of struggles. But there is nothing out there that talks about the reality of marriage and the reality of building something big together and a strong foundation, especially when you have the aspects of, children and career and all the things. So it really something that resonated with me. And specifically something that caught my attention a lot was how you were saying that you were raised believing that you have to fend for yourself. You have to be this independent woman. You can never rely on a man. And I didn't realize it. I've realized it this year, but I've grew up with the same beliefs and feeling the same feelings, and not being able to truly dive into and fully commit myself to my marriage, 12-year marriage already, because I had these underlying things. So tell me about when was your realization that you had that belief?
Well, it was after we were married for 4 years. It was in 2008 when the market crashed and I was pregnant with our first daughter that I realized something needed to change. We needed to restructure the relationship going forward. And that's the moment when he was further down the field financially than I was. I was an actress at the time, kind of on my way out. I was already 36 years old, and pregnant now, and the jobs were scarce, and Grant had a viable business. It took a massive hit in 2008. But at that point is when I looked at, okay, well, do I want to keep doing the acting thing? Or do I want to figure out how to collaborate with my husband, work in a coordinated effort to reach a heightened level of success together in this new vision that I had? I'm a visionary, so I'm always plotting and thinking about futures. So in that circumstance, I had this empire, what it looks like today. It's been in the making since 2008. But that's when I first realized, wow, I'm going to set aside this career, which I thought every woman would just disavow me for, because how despicable and disgusting to go support a man. And that's when I really realized, wow, I've had this deep ingrained be an independent, powerful woman, never depend on a man for anything. Like, that was my operating basis and my filter for everything. And I was able to identify it. Like this is, so I'm working through my marriage with that filter. And so it was constantly like a struggle and a battle, because I was always looking through this lens. And it was at that moment when I said, okay, well, whatever that is, I can always have it.
Yeah.
But what if I remove it and have like a new unit at a time, clarity, vision, operating basis of, wait a minute, maybe a man and a woman can come together, each bring their assets and strengths to the table. I say, why am I married to this guy? Find the one you trust and build an empire. So I'm married to him. At what point can I say, I trust you, I depend on you? Even that was like, in the psychiatric world, they call that codependency. And that's like got a label, like everything's got these labels. And I'm like, well, I started analyzing and looking at things. Well, what do I feel about it versus what I'm told or how to perceive how I think about it? But what do I think about it? I can't be codependent on a man that I married. Why not? Why can't I depend on him to fulfill his role and obligation to getting us to where we need to be successfully? And why can't he depend on me to fulfill my roles in the marriage that we agreed upon that can then help push us to this heightened level of success? Why can't we codepend on each other? Why is that so evil? So that's really in 2008 when that circumstance kind of really exposed the vulnerabilities in my thinkingness and in our marriage. And that's when I just started to reassess, well, what is it that I think? And why am I behaving in ways because I think other women are going to judge me who I don't even know, that were figments of my imagination? But at that point is when I said, no, I'm going to throw down and start thinking how I think. And if it doesn't work out, I can always go back to the old thing. Or I could do something new, but I don't have to be this thing because that's what I thought I was supposed to be or think.
I think it's a huge internal struggle with one thing being brutally honest with yourself. For you to identify, I'm putting all my cards on Grant. He is building this thing. I'm going to focus on the home. I feel like a lot of women will feel that they're portraying themselves or in a way sacrificing themselves. And there's a fine line, by the way.
I sacrificed for sure.
Right. So how were you able, and specifically actions, like what actions did you start taking to really like quiet down the noise and the ideas that you grew up with?
Well, it was many steps. And, I do feel like I sacrificed, maybe even more than Grant, because he's always had his dream and his vision and he stayed on that path. I went in, I helped him a little bit with the business. Then I transitioned into mother and the home and making that life and other roles that I do. But I feel like I sacrificed more, where I had to really kind of go through these identity evolutions, and it's not easy. And I think it is why I'm not ever going to apologize for being the support, or because I believe the support is the strength. It's the support beam. It holds the whole foundation up. So I'll never apologize for that. And it is hard and it is difficult, but I do say, what are you willing to give up? Sacrifice. What are you willing to give up in order to get where you want to go? And for me, where I wanted to go was I wanted to have a family that is loving, functional, holding each other accountable, helping each other achieve our goals and our dreams, and to where it goes outward. That then goes to our community, to our investors, to other collaborations, to global, to worldwide, to how can we make an impact? What does our lifestyle look like? How can we work all of this? And that became more important to me than an acting career where, some piece of garbage is sitting in a room and gets to decide my fate and bless me. You're to this, you're to that, you're whatever, on a role that I either feel I have to take for money or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm ready to create the life that I want.
I guess once you zone out and you see it in such a lens, it's not even possible to have resentment towards these like sacrifices. But have you experienced resentment?
Yes, I have. I have gotten resentment. I'm going to be very honest. Sometimes they were my ideas, and I put massive deals in place by means of putting the right people together for the sole intention of a collaboration. And then those people, once they go off and running, forget how they met. I don't think they really forget. I think they choose to make themselves seem more important. That makes me resentful, and I don't like that aspect of myself, but it does bug me. I've put massive deals in place, and then people want to act like they did it all and you didn't have anything to do with it. And it bugs me. But what gets me over that, and then if you want to take it personal to the grant world.
Yeah, resentment within your
I was
marriage.
talking about other people that I've put together on deals that are not affiliated with me. That bugs
that
me.
you're allowed to be resentful. That's okay.
In my marriage, there's been moments, where Grant gets credit, and he should. He has built it. But where I feel like it's Grant and Elena, and sometimes he thinks it could be something really big down to something really small. Like he thinks I'm so petty, but I don't like when I go into a hotel and the TV screen says, "Welcome Grant Cardone," and my name is on the reservation too. That bugs me. You send a basket, "Welcome Grant." I'm like, my name is on the reservation too. We are married. And it bugs me. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Why are you so petty? Why do you care about those things?" I'm like, this is the service industry.
Right.
Like they are not respecting the role of the woman, But look, I can't be bothered about sweating small stuff like that. So I let it roll off. I mean, that's the micro mildest to it can go all the way.
Listen, it aggregates, right?
But having sort of many conversations with Grant, also going out and not when you can validate yourself, and that's where I've come to now in my life. I'm also 51. I'm not in my, late 30s, 40s when that kind of stuff bugged me. That
now, still bugged you at those ages?
Yeah, they did. I know.
Okay. That's good to know.
It just did. But I feel like I've evolved now in the fact that I know my value. I know my worth. And the more I've been able to have that for myself, the less dependent I've been on outside resources to give me some sort of validation or credit. Because I give it to myself and then I don't have, but it took me a long time to be able to validate my own card. And that's something I regret. And I wish other women could be able to become their own best friend and supporter and advocate for themselves sooner than it took me.
I think your pace is the natural pace, if I'm being honest, because you're saying that even in your late 30s and in your 40s, you still felt like you needed validation. That's so true. I know we all look at the 20-year-olds and being like, yeah, that's the age where you're running around trying to get people to tell you, you're beautiful and you're smart. But 30s is when you don't give a damn. And I'm 34 and I give a damn. I don't want to give a damn.
I didn't want to either.
But I do. It's just
Right.
the reality of it.
Yeah.
And I've learned to really, be okay with this natural pace and experience and lessons that need to come when they come. And I know that once, I'm guessing 50, maybe that is that big, like, I don't give a damn moment.
It was a big pivotal moment for me. 50 was. But I guess it had been leading up to that. And, not to say that things don't still bother me a little from time to time, but I feel free now, like I've never felt before. I feel just a freedom. And I wish I had that when I was 20. I feel
You
like
wouldn't
I would
appreciate it then.
so powerful, though. I feel so comfortable now, like with my power and my self-education and my grit and my commitment and my loyalty and my everything. It's just, I have like such a massive track record now of patience and so much honor and integrity that nobody can take away. Like they can take away your money, but people can't take away what you've earned and worked for as a spiritual being. And that's just where I feel like I'm really powerful now, because it's just really powerful.
And you feel it. I feel it from when I see you speak. There are moments where, even the way, if I'm being honest with you, when I was talking about, I would love to have Elena on the podcast, I was like, she kind of intimidates me. But I've realized that the intimidation is because you're so powerful. It's something that I admire, something that I'm still building up to. I have a little bit more life experience to go through, but that is such a beautiful thing, and you can feel it.
I love that you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it, huh?
Absolutely.
See, the little girl in me still is like, wow, someone is intimidated by me. Like, I feel like I'm the least threatening. Like, I'm just this, I still see myself as this down home girl from New Orleans that never went to college, that's, was a scrapper. And so that's interesting.
Yeah. Intimidation from a place, not the ones that I feel like we use the word in a wrong way. Intimidation from a place of like respect,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So for me, I was like, I'm challenging myself to sit down.
Really?
And like,
wow.
get the wisdom out of you. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But I want to go back to the topic of money, because the way you said it, I want to get to that actual type of freedom in my mind. I'm on my way, but I'm not there yet. You said, I love money. I want money. I want other people to have money. That freedom to say things like that. I don't know what it is with me, but I found that I've been so like, money scares me. Maybe the environment that I grew up in, where it was such a big issue and such a big topic in my household in the most negative way, that I just never really wanted. I'm just like, I don't care about it. It comes, it goes, but I don't want to focus on it. Did you ever have to change your beliefs about money?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Because even when I was a teenager, I was in the punk rock world, and we lived paycheck to paycheck. We were never hungry. We never slept on dirt floors. But I remember my parents always worried about money every single month. It's, can we afford this? Are we going to pay the mortgage, or, extra? It was, but then when I was a punk rocker, like, that is the enemy. Like, anyone with money or riches or wealth was just the demon. So for me to really come around, I felt like I was a traitor to my group. And then I realized, no, that's not my group. That's a degraded group, a confused group. I was confused and degraded when I was partaking I don't endorse that. So I had to look at, well, what do I believe in? And I had to self-educate. I look up words, and the word wealthy comes from the derivation of the word well plus healthy. Healthy. Well, healthy, wealthy. It was actually thought to be very healthy and good, and this is prosperous and abundance, and somehow I feel like it got twisted by whoever they is that want you to stay small, not have, be in scarcity so that they could have it all.
Right.
And so there's been a lot of false data infused into society. Bad, don't talk about it, don't trust it, it's evil, it's this, it's that. And I had to dispel all of those. Money doesn't grow on trees, yet it's made of a cotton bush. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's evil. Like, if you were evil before money, you're going to be more evil with money. If you were good before money, you're going to be more good with money. You know, it's I started to look at money as money. Money isn't there to make you happy. These are separate conversations. Money is a tool and a resource to trade time, energy, products for, to help you grow, expand. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
These are tools.
We put it on this like pedestal, and we created all these ideas around it. But
significances. Yeah. So I've had to really look at all of these misconceptions that I've had about money. And that's why, and it's still very difficult for me certain times. Like, we hit this, it's very uncomfortable to me to even say the billionaire. Like I feel like that's shameful. I shouldn't say that. Are we really? I mean, I know our assets are worth that, but they're not sold, so they're not that. So where is the wealth? I know what we have in a bank account. I know what they say that we are worth and have. And do you know what I'm saying? But it's very weird, because you don't open up a closet and see $1 billion. It's digits in a bank account. Where does this exist? I'm never going to see it.
Yeah.
I just know I can buy trips or this or that, or afford school or donations, or you know what I'm saying? But I don't really get it. And so I battle within myself, even the concept of saying that out loud, or, it's something I constantly battle with because of that thing that's put on us. I don't even know where it comes from, but in order to combat that, I want to start saying money is good. Money, can help you take care of your friends, your family, your community. Money can help you create jobs for other people. There's so many amazing things that money can do. Like, money is good if you have the good intentions. Like, money is awesome. You should have money. Like, to not have money, if you are not wealthy in all aspects of your life, if you are not wealthy, then you are not well, and you are not healthy.
Yeah.
Because wealthy says you're well and healthy. So if you're not that, you've got some misconception that's making your mind distorted. And
I love that.
It should be easy to have. It's not scarce. We have trillions of dollars on this planet.
Yeah.
You could it would be like going to the ocean and scooping up buckets of water. It would never even be missed in the ocean. You can have millions. You could have, and they wouldn't even register. And somebody's going to take it and go take their family on yacht trips in the south of France.
Yeah.
And see sunsets and tour wine cellars and jet ski with the family. And somebody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Why not be you?
It's interesting because I didn't notice the language that I was using with the kids when it comes around money. Like, I started realizing that I need to build a better relationship with it and, just acknowledge it for what it is, an amazing tool. But even with the kids, we kind of autoplay these sayings like money doesn't grow on trees, or things that are kind of limiting without even realizing that they're limiting. And there was this one incident when my friend was here and her son was asking for something or said that he wants something. And I thought it was something extravagant. And she said, you can have whatever you want. It's limitless for you. Whatever it is that you ever want, you'll have. And to me, I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, this is so powerful, because this is a mindset of abundance. It doesn't matter what it is that he wants.
Exactly.
And, he'll learn as
I
you
wanna
get
go to the
older how to
moon
get it.
or
Right. But it's the
Mars.
belief. But I do love the kind of power, that you found in yourself, and honestly in your marriage, through exploring yourself and through, growing yourself for the sake of your marriage. A lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of people don't understand the amount of constant improvement and constant work you need to do in order to keep yourself engaged, but also keep your husband engaged, keep your marriage moving and flowing and exciting. And that gets harder and harder with the years. And I don't think you ever stop. I mean, how long have you been married now?
20 years.
20 years. Wow. You can't really rest.
No. I mean, certainly there was harder years and easier years, but no, definitely can't rest, because a marriage is a creation. It's a created thing. And no, like, nobody teaches you that. You said in the beginning, you think you just get married and that's it. Nobody talks about the after. Well, the wedding day is just the launch point. Okay, this is the foundation going forward. How do I become better?
Beginning.
How do I, yeah, because if take anything, this house, if you left this house and it remained empty and came back in here in 20 years, your grass would probably be several feet. The paint on the outside, inside would be peeling, dust everywhere. There might be critters. There might be a hole in the floor from mold or leaky ceiling or whatever. You understand? The same thing is in a relationship. If you ignore it or you don't continuously mow the lawn and paint over and patch up and get new life, flowers, plants, if you're not creating on the marriage, it's going to destroy. So it's a continuous create. It's not, oh, I did this one thing and now it's going to sustain. That is not how life works.
Well, I feel like for a lot of us, and I say us, like people in their, I mean, I got married very young. I got married at 21.
Wow.
I know. And I had my babies at 22, 23, 28. So I was completely oblivious, which was, by the way, advantage, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have all these ideas in my head. But also, obviously, there were negatives where you're just like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know who I am. How am I raising these kids? What am I doing with, in a marriage? But I had, I married a man that is a leader, and it really helped me to find myself within this relationship, but also on the outside as an individual. But not a lot of people understand, not a lot of women understand the amount of challenges that are coming up and the kind of potholes on the road within a marriage, and how many times you have to even, I call it renegotiating the contract, right? Because what you started with is not going to be the same when you're 5 years in, 10 years in, children coming into play. These things constantly need to change and evolve. But not a lot of people are having those like hard conversation. And if it is time for hard conversations, a lot of them feel like, oh, something is wrong in the marriage. You know what I mean? Like, it's unnatural that it is hard to put this together. We love each other. Isn't that what it's all about? Like, love. How do you look at marriage and kind of the journey of it all, especially through your own evolution, being in it for 20 years now?
Well, I had to come up with the epiphany too, that when you are married and you decide to do a marriage, people don't teach this to you before. I just thought you get married, you stay monogamous, love, that's it. No. For me, the purpose of a marriage is I can go to my heightened level of success and that's it. And the point of being in a relationship is, how do I get from my highest to here? And that's the only reason why I'm with him. Obviously there's love, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. So when I got married, I didn't realize until we were into the marriage that I have no longer the luxury to be an independent Elena only mindset. Like I didn't get married until I was 30. I had done Elena independence up until that point. But now when you marry, you don't have the luxury. Not that you can't have your life, you can't do the things that you love. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you have to do for me, not you. Anyone can do what they want. This is just my successful action. I have to do the greatest good for us. Who are we as a couple? Until we looked at, well, who are we? What do we represent? There's me, and Grant, here's you and your businesses and this and that. But who are we? What do we represent? Are we a model couple? Do we give? Do we who are we as a relationship and the impact that we make? Like, who are we? And so we focus on that. And then renegotiating the contract is needs and wants. And those evolve as there's different moments in your life. And when we first got married, the needs and wants were, Grant wants to have kids. I wanted to have kids. I didn't want to have them day one. We negotiated when we were going to start, those kind of things. Then we have kids. What are the new needs and wants?
Yeah.
What do we need and want from each other? And when you actually renegotiate that contract and you say, I need and want A, B, C, D, now this person can look at that list and go, I can deliver on this. It takes out the wondering process of going, this person is giving me something that I don't need and want if you don't do this. They're resentful because I'm unappreciative. I'm unappreciative because you're giving me not what I want, what you think I want. And these are how relationships get in trouble. So those uncomfortable conversations, they do need to happen. And you don't always feel like getting on a ladder and painting your house. But after you've painted the house and you step back and look at it and it's the nicest house on the neighborhood, you love that you did it. And sometimes you don't feel like getting your hands dirty, potting the plants. But these are the actions that are creating in the marriage. And that's taking responsibility for it and going, okay, now I don't have to guess. I can deliver on this. And you make agreements. And the agreements that y'all both agree to and you keep and maintain build a really strong foundation of trust, love, honor, respect, happiness.
Yeah. And that brings me kind of to the whole idea of the high value man, high value woman, high value relationship, because I feel like there's a bit of a misconception with what it means out there to the young. I watch like people talk about it on TikTok and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are missing the point. To me, the way I see people talk about it, it's a lot of women that expect a lot of like the emotional support, the encouragement, it's very important, don't get me wrong, but those are the soft, I call it like this, the soft kind of needs. But there's so much more to being able to have a high value relationship when it comes to, because I like pulled it out. I was like, what does that mean to me? So there's the idea of obviously mutual respect, which is very important, but the effective communication, which you just touched on, right? Being able to have these open conversation without being worried of offending each other. And that's a big deal. I didn't realize how many people are affected by big words or assertiveness. And I've only learned that when I started doing podcasts with my husband, because Gary is very direct. He's very like, this is how I feel. And yes, his tone of voice may be not registered for everyone, but I understand the messages and what he's trying to say, right? And we're both building towards the same goal. So to me, I don't take it as like, oh, you're being abrasive or whatever it is. But a lot of people were very didn't know how to go about it. And there was this whole conversation about like, oh my God, he's so mean to you. He's so abusive, the way he speaks. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, because this to me is just, it's clarity. Like, yeah, sometimes when he speaks in a certain way, I'll be like, okay, hold on, like let's take a little breath and then let's try again. But it's clear communication. Have you ever felt the way you and Grant are putting yourselves out there? Do you feel like people have like a bit of a misunderstanding how clear communication works in a relationship?
Probably. I think people are very, it's hard to have a communication cycle. Think about what's involved in a communication cycle. I have to have an intention that you understand something. The intention is here. Now I have to verbally, it has to go a distance to you, and you have to duplicate with full understanding the intention that I sent over. Just in that part of the cycle, I have to have intention. You have to have attention on me. Correct? So if you have attention on something else and I'm trying to give you a communication and you're over here and only half understanding, if I say, this cup, this goes over here, and then you duplicate this cup. But if you're paying attention to something else, any part of this communication cycle is out. And you, instead of this, you perceive that I said this.
Right.
Do you understand? And you're off to the races. No one is taught about a communication cycle because there has to be complete duplication with understanding at receipt point. I'm cause, you're receipt, right? When you fully understand that, you give me an acknowledgement like you're doing right now. It tells me you got that. You understand.
Yeah.
Then the cycle reverses and the same thing comes from you. So I think people are very confused on communication because they either think it's just listening or they're cutting off and trying to defend and not really hearing the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's very hard to have real communication. And if you think you're having real communication when you're in a tone level of anger, there's multiple tone levels. There's happiness, there's unexpressed resentment, there's cheerfulness, there's apathy, there's anger, there's hatred, there's you see what I'm saying? There's tones.
Such a range,
if you're in the range of anger, that tone level is unable to have true communication because it's lacking affinity. There has to be affinity, where a degree of liking, and there has to be reality. What can we agree on? This is a microphone. We agree on that. When we agree on that, we like each other and we're more in communication. You understand?
Yeah.
So if I were to say, this is a chair, and I argue this is a chair, and you're like, no, it's a microphone. What happens? We don't have reality. We less liken each other, and we go out of communication more because we lack agreements. So if you think that when you're angry, where there is no affinity, no reality, because y'all are complete in disagreement about your points, and you think you're actually having a communication cycle like the one I just told you, attention with complete duplication and understanding. If you're so committed to being angry and right on your side that you can't duplicate what the other person is saying with understanding, you're not really in a communication. Yet people think, oh, just because we had words and we were angry, we actually communicated. Another thing I will say is that, for the people that have this idea again, that everything's going to be this humada, lovey, everything's going to be sweet moment, that doesn't always breed growth. And, growing pains to be stretched and challenged at times doesn't always feel good. And the example that I give all the time is when I was writing the book, I never thought I was smart. I just sit down. I'm so freaking hyper. I had all these excuses of why I didn't write the book. Grant writes them in a weekend, and he said, how's the book going? I was on month 7 or 8, and I was like, I just can't do this and that, and I'm not like you, and And he said, you're lazy and a coward. And it infuriated me, and I was like, I would never. I'm so supportive, and he's not, like, in my head, and he doesn't support me. But it lit a fire under me. I never told my girlfriends because they would just have a field day with that one. Right. Oh God, he's so aggressive, and why do you take that and this, and you know what I mean? It would just have exacerbated it. But it got me to stay at home and finish that book, something that I am so proud of, that I accomplished that. Talk about where I feel competent. I was never good in school. I did make good at grades because I have an ability to memorize, but it just gave me something like, wow, I am smart. It rehabilitated so many things in me. And I finished that cycle. And at that moment, I had another epiphany that sometimes it doesn't always come in the form, but he actually helped me get to a heightened level of success because I got to accomplish a goal that I thought I was too weak to accomplish. And that took a kick in the butt, not a handhold, lovey-dovey with my excuses. So you got to be really smart with how people are treating you. Are they treating you wrong to build you up, or are they treating you wrong to tear you down and keep you small?
Right. Like, what's the intention?
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
And I think that is such a valuable lesson because especially when you choose a partner, you know, we're looking for all the softness and all these like things, but you want to have a partner, a teammate that constantly pushes you to be your best self. That to me is the greatest gift. I honestly, if I have to be completely honest, because at 20, when I met Gary, what the hell did I know? I didn't know anything, but what I did know is the feeling that beside this man, I will become the greatest I could ever be. Not a lot of people can say that.
Wow.
I don't need to push him. I don't need to, you know, he requires his own encouragement, but having that knowing that I wake up every morning and the kind of communication we can have is going to make me better love is beautiful, but love is one part of like a bigger picture. And I guess this is what I loved so much about your book that not a lot of people cover is this honest, you know, brutal truth of like, you need more. There needs to be more than love. And you spoke about it before as well, you know, this idea of like accepting your partner the way they are or loving them the way they are. And that kind of got you got a controversial response.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, because most people say, "Oh, you love the way you are," and this, and I'm not about that. I'm not. I don't like normal. I'm not normal. I've accepted that. I don't like normal. I detest normal. Normal is the most dangerous condition to be in because you think everything's okay until you wake up and it's not. And you don't have anything to sustain from that point. You can literally, an empire can crumble. So I don't love you just the way that you are and expect that to sustain into eternity. I love somebody that is constantly trying to better themselves, have a higher purpose, improving, working, evolving, because I am, and I can't be in stagnant waters. It stinks. It's stale. It doesn't move. It gets like green moldy stuff, and then it actually has a smell. I'm not about that. I want fluidity and motion and range and creativity and self-enhancement and, you know, create in life. And sure, you get banged up, but you roll it out. I wanna. That's who I want around me and who I want to go on this journey with life, and to be complicit in saying, "Oh no, you're perfect." No, you're not. Like, who is?
No,
you're not. Like, and if you think you did all that, there's more to be done. Look at the planet. It needs help. Mankind needs help. Like, our work here isn't done until the world is a safe place and free of criminals. Like, who can rest on their laurels? Like, we're not there.
How do you suggest women that are in relationship where they see that it's becoming stagnant, like how can they encourage their partners to wake up and like step up?
Well, by having conversations and looking at the big picture and finding out, what is it that you want? Where do you want to go? Where's our vision? How do we get there together? You know, hopefully you did some of this background work before you got married. A lot of people don't. You know, some people don't want to change. They don't want to move. They don't like it. And that's, you know, that could be a little bit of a scary place for somebody that has ambition and somebody that, you know, and then you have to just decide, hey, do I love this person enough? And do they love me enough to let me go off and do me? And they're still going to love me. Do I have to have them do it with me? You know, like Grant loves golf. I don't love golf. You go do golf with your buddies. We don't have to do everything together. I can go have my gun guys that I go shoot with from time to time. Grant doesn't have to do that, but I get to go talk guns for 8 hours in the day that I'm shooting with them. Grant would be bored to tears if I was talking guns all day with him. So we don't have to do everything together, but you got to figure out what the negotiables are and have the conversations and say, what do we want for our children? Where do we want to go? And then see, hey, will you come to a 10X growth conference and let's just see what we think, or let's go out to dinner with this couple, or or hey, let's check out this podcast. Or you've got to be artful though, because people don't want to be made to feel like something is wrong with them and you're trying to change them because you're unhappy. You have to be very delicate when you're trying to get people to come into your world and play the game with you. You've got to be artful and not make wrong of the person you're trying to get to go on the journey with you.
So that is exactly my question, that art of will you come along with me on this journey? I agree with you. You want to find this out before you get married. But when you kind of wake up of the days of, the honeymoon phase and you're like, okay, what's going on? How do you really bring kind of your husband, your partner into the same vision? So I love that you said, obviously having the conversation, trying to understand if the goals are aligned. But also this idea of building the environment for them to get inspired. If it's bringing interesting people in, expand their horizons without them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without having to say, honey, we're doing this. Just create the environment. Just accidentally run into this situation or that situation, or,
And that's such a power that we have as women that we don't use enough.
That's so true.
You ask me.
I 1,000,000% agree.
We're speaking of kind of the female power. Where do you feel like you shine? What are your powers in your household, in your organization?
It's pretty hard to describe, but I feel like I'm the magic. Grant's the hammer and he executes and gets it done, and he's the builder and he'll run through walls. And I sort of get to live in this space up here that's this visionary that thinks anything is possible and is very creative, but all you have to do is this, and then he wants to explode on me because he has to do it. But I think that's where I come. I have this amazing magical power that I've always had, that I've cultivated, that things just work for me because I operate on something where I assume it to be true as if it's already done.
Right.
And I have this ability to work from the future, not the past.
Do you feel like it's a cerebral?
No,
it's a
yeah,
physical
I'm very
feel.
visual, and I mock up. I see the future, who I want to be around, and it's there. And I do not doubt for a second that everything in that is happening. And when you have that mindset, now I can reverse engineer from that picture and get pulled to that picture. What do I have to do to be that person in the future? A woman who can talk to presidents, can have intelligent conversation, understand finance, art, literature, culture. What do I have to do? Now it's just me doing the action. I have to do this course, look at this book, self-educate. I have to understand this. I have to listen. I have to pay attention. I have to ask questions. I have to work, but once I do, then you have the picture. You see, so that is my magic. I reverse engineer. So when a problem comes in, I look at it. It doesn't feel good. Maybe the resentment, like we talked about, these little moments or whatever. But all of it I use is, I had to go through that to learn to set up how to look for red flags, how to negotiate better deals, I never saw that one coming. Now I can use all of that going forward to be that woman who knows that and all of that in the future. Whereas I used to live like most of us live, past, present, future. The problem with living from the past, present, and the future is everything is the past. The future's never happened. That picture's never happened. So when a problem or a situation comes in that's a challenge or a setback or a failure, it goes back to the back picture that's never been the success. See, that didn't work. That was a failure. That seminar didn't work. You spent $5,000 on that program. It didn't work. You understand? Oh, they're never going to look at me like that. I'm never going to figure out the finances. Money is scarce. I try to pretend and humana and money's wealthy. But look, I'm broke and I'm having trouble buying a Starbucks. You see, that's living from the past.
Yeah.
But when you actually go, I'm in a successful marriage, kids, I'm multi-billionaire. I'm on the communication lines of the world. I have a seat at the global table. Like, that's the vision of where I'm going in the future and who I need to become and want to become. Everything comes from that already exists. And that's my magic, because anything that comes in, I take from the viewpoint of, so if I lose a deal and maybe Grant or somebody's upset by that, I'm like, would my future self, who's worth, let's call it 20 billion, do I care about this problem? Nope. Okay. So let's learn from it and continue. And I have that ability to have that mindset that permeates the whole group that I'm around and gets and keeps us moving forward. And I'm the best cheerleader for all. Like, I blow oxygen on all the different particles that are working inside the 10X organization. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is the vision. This is where we're going. Let's use this. Let's use that. Let's, you know.
So how do you cultivate that? How do you, first of all, when did you start viewing life in that way? Was it something that happened specifically, or was it with time being around kind of Grant or what was building around, and you understanding that you need to now be the source of something else and move from a different place?
Well, I've always been like a visionary, and, you know, I always like observe people and look at things. And then in around the year 2000, when I stopped doing drugs and excessively drinking alcohol, I always thought, well, I was going to be a bona fide actress once I had an Oscar, or once I was on a TV series, or then I could have being an actress. And I never got it right. And the people that go, God, I thought once I had this, I would be happy, they have an inverted cycle. They think once they have gives them permission to be. No, 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 no. You be now. So what would I have done when I wanted to become a billionaire and I wasn't a billionaire? I didn't go tell people. I'm not inauthentic. I didn't say I'm a billionaire when I'm not. That's a fraud. However, when I wanted to be a billionaire, when we were on the verge of losing everything in 2008, I said, I'm going to wear the beingness of a billionaire. How does that act? Okay, well, if I lost a $30,000 commission and I'm a billionaire, does that matter? No. So suck it up and move on. Be, right? Now, if I'm going to be a billionaire, reverse engineer, you have to connect the two levels of the beingness and the havingness. It requires the steps, which are the actions. So if I'm a billionaire, I'd have to know about money. I'd have to know about communication. I'd have to know about collaboration, scale, marketing, sales, right? You have to know about all those. You'd have to be, smart with money. So these are all the steps that Grant and I started to do in order to have. And then we created that. So I can't take credit for these concepts. I've just applied what I've read and understood. My life, my career, my commitment, I don't have roller coaster. I don't do roller coaster. The level of people I have in my life, what I've built, what we've created, all come from the tenets that I've learned there.
I want to dissect to your daughters, because that's something that, Gary mentioned when you walked in. Gary said how much I share a lot of videos that you guys share when, the girls, the way they speak, the way they carry themselves. That's so beautiful to see, especially, for young women to already kind of come from a place of power and confidence. So that's a huge testament to the way you are raising them. But I wonder, how does it work raising young girls in a highly functioning household, without quite honestly messing them up because, you know, there's a lot of things that happen at the same time while they're still building themselves up, understanding their identity, and then your input and the environment that they grow up in.
Right. How do I do it? Is that
Yeah, like what is your approach? Because it is a very different environment.
Is a very different environment.
Mm-hmm.
Not to beat a dead horse, but I apply a lot of Scientology in my ability to listen, duplicate, acknowledge, handle if they want a handle. I try to set up a boundary. They have the permission to cross the boundary. They'll have certain, ramifications. They've never been hit. I don't believe in hitting anyone, period, but much less not my own size. So they've never had to be in fear. I've always just tried to create an environment as I understand my role. My role isn't to be their best friend or have them like me, although I love all of that. My role is to create a healthy, safe environment for them to figure out and to grow like a petri dish. I'm just supposed to provide safety, comfort, knowledge, and allow them to grow into the women that they choose to become. It is their choice. And that's really how I navigate it. And it's hard as a mother sometimes. I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing, or was I too strict here or there, or not strict enough, or it like nobody tells you. You don't really have a playbook. I mean, I have taken courses on how to rear teens and tweeners and how to have a happy marriage, successful marriage.
Was it helpful, the courses about the teens and tweens? Because there's a lot of experts out there.
No. I don't read. First of all, I've already said this. I don't buy into and will not take heed from the psychiatric world. I think they're confused. Man is not an animal. It's a spiritual being. They don't take that into account. And anyone who believes in a philosophy of all those torture mechanisms is not something I will say, I disagree on that, but I'll take your advice on here. So I disregard any books that's written by those people, period. And there are a lot of experts, and I don't claim to be one, but I just do the courses that work for me, that I've found, that I've been searching for a long time, that help us flourish and prosper as a family. And so in the tweens, it's important when they're in that phase of not being adults. They haven't earned adult rights yet. They have to work for that. You can't give them everything. You can't give them every freedom, because you have to have barriers, and in order for them to have freedom, there has to be a barrier, or there is no freedom. Then it's like, so it's a delicate art in that age before they've earned adult rights to create enough barriers to give them with artfully enough purpose. They need purpose. How are they exchanging with the family? You can't just give everything to a kid and want nothing and give, because that's a criminal. You're making criminals. Criminals want something for nothing. So you have to find ways of how they can exchange. How are they exchanging? Are they on their own origination, doing social media, or working for the company, or selling tickets, or making a meal, or making you happy, depending on age appropriate. A little infant that can't do anything smiles. That's an exchange. That's an acknowledgement. They're trying, little kids that put on a play, sometimes you're like, I got to get to work. They're trying to exchange. It's very important to allow kids to exchange, so they're on the team, so they're not just like nothing. And so that's helped me in life to be able to understand and recognize and try to put them on a path where they have a purpose and they are exchanging, and understand we're Team Cardone and we want to make a difference for the better. And this is how we help people. And what is your role in that? And how do you want to contribute? And allowing them to do so. So just so much information that I have, that I apply, that somehow on this crazy planet that we live in, makes it work. Even through the challenges of TikTok and social media and their, discovering themselves and their body and this and that and the judgments and, it's all.
How are you navigating them in social media specifically?
It's hard. It's
question.
very hard. I wish I wouldn't have given them the phone as early as I did. I wish I would have said, you can borrow this phone. It's my phone. I can look at it anytime. I can, I wish I just knew more. That's a whole other conversation. I wish I would say goes in the basket at 8:00 at night and you get it back at 8:00 the next morning.
Yeah.
I would have done a lot of things different. All I do now is, when they kind of maybe go through a little depression period or whatever I feel like they're going through, and some might write it off as they're hormonal or teenagers, or I ask them, hey, have you seen something on the social media that you didn't feel good about? Like they're putting pornography stuff out there, violence stuff, you're coming across it. Did you see something that didn't make you feel good? You don't want to tell me about it. Maybe do you need to put a filter up? Do you need to not see that? Do you need to talk to me about it? I'm not going to judge you. Do you need to put your phone up and let's go do something else for a few hours? Like you need to be responsible. And I'm giving them the opportunity to be responsible for their condition. And so that's how I deal with it. And I talk to them and I tell them everything I know, age appropriate. And now they're age appropriate, 13 and 15. I'm like, every single person you're communicating with online, unless you actually know them, is a pedophile, is a 40-year-old pedophile. And they're like, Mom, stop saying that. I'm like, it's true.
It's true.
You don't tell them anything. You don't communicate. You don't let them know. They got, I tell them they're going to try to put a wedge and like, you don't want to get stolen. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How do you integrate, your professional and personal ambition with being present as a mother and as a wife? That's like a hard, I don't want to use the word balance because I think it's bullshit, but the integration of the two, how does it work for you?
What did you say? The business?
The integration of like your professional and personal ambition, the things that you want to do for yourself and how you want to actualize yourself, and then you being present, as a wife, as a mother. Because now you have grown kids,
right?
Now you have your own wants and needs.
Again, I am learning as I'm going. I was very hands-on in the very beginning. I didn't want to turn that hat over to somebody else. Then I felt like, okay, I can have a couple of nannies to help me because I really had my own personal ambitions and goals and things that I wanted to do. And then recently, in the last year, I was like, oh, now I had them on as like family assistants, take them here, take them there. I can take some here, there, but they really seemed to like that person. So I was like kind of having that. And then it kind of got to this point where I thought, wait a minute, they don't want me. Like they want me to ask them if I can take them because they have this person. I'm like, wait, why am I paying a person to be in my thing? And then I reassessed and I went, you know what? My personal goals right now are going to go back on hold because my kids are teenagers now. I'm doing everything. I don't care if they like me, don't like me. I'm taking you to the tennis, to the mall, I'm doing less at work. I phased out. I still have obligations, but I've mostly phased out. And I'm like, no. I'm going to be the one whether you like it or not, because this is my last chance.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to be out on your own. And then I missed it. And so again, I'm in a
season. Yeah.
New season. I'm in a situation. I have a husband that's very successful. I don't have to work. And so I chose, to cut back because I really wanted to go be mom again. Whereas when I hired the nannies, I was like, very important for me to now. I did the mom, the few years I didn't work. I gave now it's my turn. And I did my turn. And then I went and I felt good. Yeah. And then I went, I got to go do this back again.
And that's so beautiful to have the ability, and the intuition. You listen to yourself, when it's time to step back, when it's time to go full force. I mean, that's, again, this like power that women have. And we just need to allow ourselves to be whoever we need to be in the season that we're in, because the season always change.
I know.
Always
I know.
change.
I'm like, oh, did I make a mistake going back? Should I have been in it the whole time? You know, all these things go through my mind, but I was where I was. I am where I am. It's like you said, it's a new season. So I'm just doing what I do.
Thank you so much for coming and for sharing your story. I know there's so much more. So people that want more can find you at Elena Cardone on Instagram.
Everything.
Everything Elena Cardone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Wait, are you still intimidated?
Am I still intimidated? No. You know what? I just want to like learn more from you. So I love that you do what you can with you showing up on social media and sharing kind of your perspective. So like, I just want to encourage you to continue doing that. I think it's very important for women in your 20s, 30s, 40s to have women with experience that are out there and being open and honest and vulnerable. Like, we need that.
Thank you.
I don't need another 22-year-old telling me how to make money. That doesn't really work for me. Thank you so much, Elena.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't miss my newest episode right here. And if you're listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify, please go and leave a review with your biggest takeaway. I love reading your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for guests or topics, you can leave them in the comment section. And always remember, you are not alone.